Alex never thought he'd be the type of person to do something this stupid. But when you're 19, broke, and stuck in a small town where nothing happens, stupidity can start to feel like adventure. It was a heavy summer night, humid, with crickets screaming from the woods and the smell of cut grass hanging in the air. Alex sat on the hood of Josh's old Honda Civic, watching the others argue over which house they should hit first. Josh was the ringleader, as usual. Loud, confident, and always with his phone in hand, filming everything for TikTok. "Come on, bro," Josh said, smirking as he pointed at a dark house across the street. "That one's perfect. No lights, no cameras, no one's gonna care." Drew laughed, running a hand through his messy hair. "Dude, what if someone calls the cops? I'm not trying to spend the night in jail over some dumb challenge." Josh rolled his eyes. "Relax. It's just a kick. We're not breaking in. We just make the loudest bang we can and run. People online love that crap." Maya, the quietest of the group, was leaning against the car, arms crossed. She glanced at Alex. "You don't have to do it if you don't want to," she said softly. But Alex already felt the weight of everyone's expectations. He hated being called the quiet one, the good kid. And maybe, deep down, he wanted to prove he wasn't just the tag-along friend. "Fine," Alex said, hopping off the hood. "I'll do it." Josh grinned, already raising his phone. "Let's go. This is gonna blow up." They waited until the street was completely silent. The only sound was the distant hum of power lines and the occasional chirp of a frog. Alex's heart pounded as he jogged across the road, sneakers crunching on the gravel driveway. The house loomed in front of him, its paint peeling, porch sagging slightly. He stopped at the door. For a moment, he just stood there, listening. Nothing. He could see his reflection in the narrow window, his own wide-eyed, anxious face staring back at him. He lifted his foot. Bam! The door shook violently, the sound echoing down the street. Adrenaline shot through Alex as he spun and bolted back toward the car. Josh and Drew were already doubled over laughing, Maya shaking her head but smiling despite herself. "That was perfect!" Josh yelled, shoving the phone in Alex's face. "Dude, you look terrified!" But Alex wasn't laughing, because as they piled back into the car, he glanced over his shoulder. The front door of the house had opened, and a man was standing there. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't chasing them. He just stood in the doorway, head tilted slightly, his silhouette barely visible in the darkness. Alex's breath caught. Even from this distance, something about the way the man stood, perfectly still, like a statue, made his skin crawl. "Go," Alex said quickly, his voice sharper than he intended. "Just go." Josh, still laughing, threw the car into gear and sped off down the road. But Alex couldn't stop staring out the back window. The man hadn't moved. Even as the car turned the corner, he was still there, watching. Alex didn't sleep that night. Every creak of the house made him jolt awake. The shadows in his room seemed darker than usual, pooling unnaturally in the corners. By 4 a.m., he gave up on sleep and went to the kitchen for water. When he opened the front door to let in some cool air, his heart stopped. On the porch, in the faint glow of the streetlight, were muddy boot prints, big ones, leading right up to his door. Alex didn't tell the others. When they met up the next day, Josh was already talking about which house they should hit next. "Last night's video is blowing up, man. We gotta do another one. Double the views." "I don't know if that's a good idea," Alex muttered. Josh grinned, slapping him on the back. "What's the worst that could happen?" Alex opened his mouth, then closed it again. Because what could he say? That he thought the man had followed him home? That he thought the challenge wasn't just a stupid prank anymore, but something darker? He said nothing. And that night they went out again. The second house was even worse. They'd driven out farther this time, away from the familiar streets and into a quieter, older part of town. The kind of place where trees grew taller than the houses, where streetlights were few and far between. Josh was buzzing with excitement, phone already recording as they crept up to the next house. "This one's a gold mine," he whispered. "No neighbors, no cameras, no problem." But Alex felt sick. He hadn't told them about the boot prints, about how he'd spent half the night staring at his front door, waiting for it to open. He told himself it was probably a coincidence, maybe some drunk guy had wandered past. But deep down, he didn't believe that. Something about the way the man had just stood there, silently watching, it had burned itself into Alex's memory. Drew went first this time. His kick was weaker, but still loud enough to rattle the door. They all bolted, laughing, piling back into the car. But just like last time, the door opened, and someone stood there. This time, it wasn't a man. It was a woman, tall, thin, her hair hanging loose around her face. She didn't shout or chase them either. But she stepped outside and turned her head toward them, slowly, unnaturally, as if her neck moved on hinges. Alex's blood ran cold. As Josh floored the gas, Alex swore he saw her lips move. Not screaming. Not cursing. Just whispering something he couldn't hear. They stopped doing the challenge after that. At least, that's what Alex thought. Until his phone buzzed at 1 a.m. It was a video from Josh. When Alex opened it, his stomach dropped. It wasn't from Josh's phone camera. It was security footage. Grainy, black and white, time-stamped from less than an hour ago. It showed Josh's house. Josh's front door. And someone standing outside it. Perfectly still. Alex's heart hammered as he squinted at the figure. The footage was blurry, but he could make out a shape, tall, thin, with something pale hanging down on either side of the head. Hair. The woman. Alex called Josh immediately. "Bro, what is this? Where did you get that video?" Josh sounded scared for the first time. "It's from my parents' security cam. Dude, I didn't send that. Someone airdropped it to me while I was asleep. They were at my house. She was at my house." "Call the cops," Alex said. Josh hesitated. "And tell them what? That some lady's standing outside? That we kicked a door and now we're scared? We'll get in trouble." Alex was about to argue when he heard it. A sound from his own front porch. Soft. Deliberate. Knock. Pause. Knock. Pause. Knock. Slow, measured, like someone tapping a metronome. He froze. His phone slipped from his hand, clattering to the floor. The knocks continued, each one echoing through the empty house. Alex backed away from the door, heart in his throat. The knocks stopped. Silence. And then, from the other side of the door, a whisper. Faint, almost too soft to hear. "Let me in." He didn't sleep that night either. By morning, he'd made up his mind. He met Josh and Maya at the diner where they usually hung out. Drew didn't show up. "I think we should tell someone," Alex said. "This isn't just some random creepy neighbor. This is..." "She's following us," Josh finished, rubbing his face. "Yeah. I know. Drew texted me last night. Said someone was knocking at his window." Maya's hands were trembling as she sipped her coffee. "We have to stop. Just stop. Delete the videos, everything. Pretend it never happened." Josh nodded reluctantly. But Alex wasn't convinced it would be that easy. Because as they left the diner, something caught his eye. A figure across the street. Standing under the shadow of a tree. Still as stone. Watching them. And when a car passed by, blocking his view for half a second, she was gone. That night, Alex stayed awake, sitting by the window with a baseball bat in his lap. Around midnight, his phone lit up with a notification. New video. It was from Drew. But it wasn't a message. It was a live stream. The camera was shaky, showing Drew's terrified face, lit only by the glow of his phone screen. "She's outside," Drew whispered. "She's been knocking for an hour. She won't stop." Alex's stomach turned to ice. The stream suddenly jolted as Drew moved toward his window, angling the camera outside. There she was, standing in the middle of the yard, head tilted, staring straight into the camera. Not moving, not blinking, just smiling. And then, the live stream cut to black. Alex stared at his screen, heart hammering, when his phone buzzed again. New message. No text. Just a single video file. He opened it with shaking hands. It was footage of Drew's front door. But this time, the door was wide open, and the camera slowly panned down, showing boot prints, leading inside. Josh showed up at Alex's house before dawn. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, pale, jittery, eyes bloodshot. Drew's gone, Josh said without greeting. No one's seen him since last night. His phone's off. Alex already knew. He'd watched that last video a dozen times, replaying every frame. We have to go there, Josh said, his voice shaking. We have to see if he's okay. Alex wanted to say no. Every instinct screamed at him to stay far, far away from Drew's house. But the thought of leaving Drew there, alone with her, was worse. Maya insisted on coming. You think I can just sit at home and wait for one of you to disappear too? She said. And so, just after sunrise, the three of them stood in front of Drew's house. The street was empty. Silent. The front door was still open. Josh swallowed hard and stepped inside first, phone held out like a weapon, camera rolling. Drew, he called. His voice cracked. No answer. The house smelled wrong, metallic, damp, like wet iron. Alex gripped the baseball bat tighter as they moved from room to room. The place was a mess. Furniture overturned, curtains shredded, deep gouges carved into the wooden floor like something with claws had raked it. And then they saw it. On the wall of Drew's bedroom, written in something dark and smeared. Knock. Over and over again. The word covered the entire wall, ceiling to floor. Maya clapped a hand over her mouth, gagging. That's blood, she whispered. Alex felt bile rise in his throat. Josh lowered his phone, his bravado gone. We should leave. Now. But before they could move, the front door slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. Hello? Maya called, voice trembling. From somewhere deep in the house came a sound. Knock, knock, knock. Slow. Measured. Alex's heart pounded as they huddled together in the hallway. The knocks came again, closer this time. And then, a whisper. Not from outside. From upstairs. Let me in. Josh's phone began vibrating violently in his hand. He glanced down and went pale. It's a live stream, he said. The three of them watched in silence as the stream played. It showed them, standing in the hallway, from an angle that didn't make sense, as if someone was filming them from inside the house. Alex's blood turned to ice. The whisper came again, this time from behind them. Slowly they turned. She was there, standing at the end of the hallway, her head tilted at that same impossible angle, her long hair hanging like wet rope. Her face was pale, lips split in a grotesque grin that was too wide, stretching ear to ear. Josh dropped the phone. Run, Alex said, barely above a whisper. They bolted toward the back door, but it slammed shut before they could reach it. Every exit sealed itself as they moved, as if the house itself was trapping them. Maya stumbled, falling hard on her hands and knees. Alex spun, swinging the bat wildly. Connected with something, hard like hitting a tree. But she didn't fall. She just stood there, smiling wider, if that was even possible. Her whisper was louder now, reverberating through the house. Let me in. Into what? Alex shouted, backing away. She stepped forward, slow and deliberate. And then, in a voice that was not hers. Josh's voice, she said. Into you. Alex's vision blurred. For a second, it felt like the air was being sucked out of the room. His ears rang. And then Drew's voice came next. Help me. It was coming from her mouth. Maya screamed. Josh grabbed Alex by the arm. Basement. They tore open the basement door and stumbled down the stairs. The air down there was freezing, damp. In the far corner was an old wooden door Alex had never seen before. It was covered in scratches, some fresh, some so deep they looked like they'd been there for years. Behind it, knock, knock, knock. Josh was hyperventilating, fumbling with the door. Maybe Drew's in here. Are you insane? Alex yelled. But it was too late. The door creaked open. Darkness. Nothing but darkness. And then, a hand shot out, pale and thin, grabbing Josh by the wrist. He screamed as he was yanked forward. Alex grabbed him, pulling as hard as he could, but something on the other side was stronger. For a moment, Alex saw it, a face in the dark, white eyes staring back at him, grinning. And then Josh was gone. The door slammed shut. Silence. Maya was sobbing. Alex stumbled back, heart hammering so hard he thought it might burst. And then he heard it. Footstep. Coming down the basement stairs. Slow. Deliberate. She was coming. The footsteps were slow and patient, as if she already knew there was nowhere for them to go. Maya clutched Alex's arm so hard her nails dug into his skin. "What do we do?" she whispered. Alex looked around wildly. The basement was nearly empty. Just a few broken chairs, some dusty boxes, and that terrible wooden door, still rattling as if something inside wanted out. He didn't know what to do. But he knew one thing: if they stayed here, they were dead. "Upstairs," Alex hissed. They sprinted up the steps, every creak sounding like a gunshot. The air felt heavier now, pressing down on them, as though the house itself was trying to keep them inside. When they reached the hallway, she was waiting. Not at the far end this time. Right there. Just a few feet away. Her head tilted, smile stretching too wide, eyes gleaming with something that wasn't human. Maya screamed and ran for the bedroom. Alex followed, slamming the door shut behind them and shoving a dresser in front of it. The knocking started almost immediately. But this time, it wasn't just on the door. It was on the walls, on the floorboards, on the ceiling. Dozens of knocks in unison, surrounding them from every direction. And then came the voices. Not just hers. Drew's voice. Josh's voice. Others. Dozens of them, whispering all at once. "Let us in. Let us in. Let us in." The walls shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Maya covered her ears, rocking back and forth. "We're gonna die, we're gonna die." Alex grabbed the bat and swung at the window, shattering the glass. "Go!" he yelled. Maya hesitated for half a second before climbing out, scrambling onto the roof. Alex turned to follow. But the knocking stopped. The silence was worse. He turned slowly toward the door. It was open. The dresser was still in place, untouched. And yet the door was open. She was standing in the doorway, grinning. Alex climbed out onto the roof, heart hammering, but she was already there too. She didn't climb, didn't crawl. She just appeared. As if she'd been there all along. Alex slipped, nearly falling, but caught himself on the gutter. Maya was on the far side of the roof, frozen in terror. "She wants you," Maya whispered. Alex's breath came in ragged gasps. "What?" "She's been following you," Maya said, her voice shaking. "The night you kicked that first door, you invited her. You opened it for her." Alex's stomach dropped. "No," he said, backing away. "No, that's not. She can't come in unless you let her," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. And then, as if to prove it, the woman spoke. "Let me in, Alex." Not screaming. Not threatening. Just asking. Almost pleading. "Say yes," she whispered. "And it will stop. No more knocking. No more fear. Just open the door." Alex's mind reeled. He saw Josh being dragged into the dark. He saw Drew's terrified livestream. He saw the bootprints on his porch. And then he saw himself, alone, sitting in his room at night, waiting for the next knock. Maya was sobbing now. "Don't do it." The woman smiled wider, tilting her head. "Do it," she whispered. Alex realized then that there was no winning. Either he let her in, or she would take everyone he cared about, maybe everyone he ever met. And so, with shaking hands, Alex whispered the words. "Yes." The knocking stopped. The air went still. Maya's scream cut through the silence as the woman stepped forward, and into Alex. He felt it, cold, suffocating, filling every corner of him like water pouring into empty lungs. For a moment, everything went black. And then it was over. Alex was standing on the roof alone. Maya was gone. So was the woman. And for the first time in days, there was silence. Alex never told anyone what happened that night. He deleted every video, every message. But sometimes, when he walks past a house late at night, he feels something stir inside him. A hunger. A whisper. Knock, knock, knock. And sometimes, when he can't fight it anymore, he listens. And he smiles. The next morning, across town, a young couple woke to find muddy boot prints leading up to their front door. And a single word, smeared across the wood in something dark. Knock.